because yeah, you're quite right. You know, when you're reading things where you're thinking, well, we haven't been told this at all, that you can have full fat this and other bits and pieces. Surely I'm going to make things worse and not better. So, you know, when your nurse is sort of saying, oh, yeah, give it a go, and you think, oh, right, okay, right, let's do it. So being the type of person I am, a bit like the Couch to 5K, I had a little chart on my computer and I was testing my blood sugar levels, and I was trying the recipes. I mean, to be honest, the one thing that struck me first was the recipes were gorgeous. You know, there was so much taste, so much flavor. Because it wasn't stuff that was coming out of a packet and coming out of a jar, it was real herbs and spices, and we were putting these things together and these meals. And I started getting interested in it and thinking, well, I can do this, because I hadn't really been doing cooking before. And I'd always wanted to, but you know, when you look at a Mary Berry recipe, it can kind of put you off. There's so much involved. But suddenly these were very simple recipes. You know, around sort of meat and vegetables, and make little cream sauces and things like that. And it really was tasty. And the other thing I noticed straight away, and it was fairly instant, was the blood sugar. How it just dropped.
So how quickly did the change then? How fast was it?
48 hours.
Really, that quick?
48 hours, and I was getting normal readings.
Oh, that's super quick.
It was stunning, and of course I was keeping notes of it all as I was going along, and I got to the end of that first week, and I did phone my nurse, and I said, look, I'm getting numbers now which say like 3.8. You know, what should I do? And she said, stop taking your medication. And you can imagine how that made me feel, or anybody would make them feel, when you've had 6 years of it, and then they were threatening to put it up and give me lots more medication, and now suddenly within a week I wasn't on any more medication.
That's brilliant, because you say yourself that you was doing it for 6 years, but there's people out there being on medication and things a lot longer, looking for a lot more solutions and not able to find it. So it's great that you found something, you know, that you could do a change within 48 hours and then a week off your medication. I mean, absolutely brilliant. So keep going. There's more.
So we got that. I mean, that was 2016, and I got to the end of, because Michael Mosley's book was called The 8-Week Blood Sugar Diet, and so I thought, well, you know, what happens after 8 weeks? But clearly, it wasn't a case of you just do it for 8 weeks. It was a case of gets you started. But you learn so much in that 8 weeks, because once you've started reading and understanding what it is that you're doing, you then start making contact with all these other people online and other people that are in the same situation, and you realize that, you know, this isn't just a one-off here. There are hundreds, thousands of people out there that are all doing the same, and they're all going sort of against what their doctor had told them, and change to eating this different way, and suddenly they were losing weight, had more energy, they were loving the food. And you know, if this food had, I always say this, I would be fully prepared for 2 months to eat cardboard if it meant that I was going to, you know, reverse my diabetes. But the fact is, it was just a super bonus to me that I enjoyed the food. The food was gorgeous, and it felt, as I was going along, that I was getting, like, my taste was really returning, because a bit like someone, I always sort of liken it to someone who's smoked all their life, and when they say that when they stop smoking, they can taste more. And I think it's the same with sugar. I think when you're having all these foods that are converting into sugar in your body, all these things which, you know, people are still being told to eat, that actually it sort of dulls the senses.
Oh yeah, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. I've said that to some people I worked with before, that all of a sudden you get taste buds. You can taste different things in different foods, and things that perhaps you thought that you didn't like before, you suddenly take a liking to, or things that you thought were maybe a bit bitter become a bit sweet because it's not all masked by that sugar. And just to make it clear to our audience and people who are listening, what you actually did then was you stopped eating all what the guidelines was telling you to eat, like the brown rice, like the wholemeal bread, like all the carbohydrates and all the fruit and all the vegetables that's pushed out there saying you must eat this, you must eat that. What you did was you kind of flipped it on its head and you started introducing really good fats, animal fats, and nutrient dense produce in there, like meats and fish and non-starchy vegetables, things like that. So they're not really the kind of things that's pushed out there to tell people to do, yet you found this out.
Well, that's the crazy thing. I mean, if you go and see, if you go and buy some fish, for example, and let's say it's in a packet, there's a red warning sign on it. It's saying it's dangerously high levels of fat. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, I did wonder. I have to say, when I started, and I think pretty much everyone feels like this. At least I think they do. Is you think what there's going to be a big hole on my plate? That's where the rice went. That's where the pasta went. That's where the bread went. Whatever it is, or the chips, or whatever it is, and you thinking, you start off thinking, well, what goes in there? Because I'm used to having that with a bit of meat and some vegetables, but now you've just taken that away. So now what? I'm therefore left with less. But you realize actually it's not like that, and you do.
I do think it just to pick you up on that. I do think a lot of people do think like that though, and that's potentially where some people have a bit of a downfall, because they still have the same amount of meat or the same amount of nutrient dense food as what they did before, yet now they've taken away half of their plate in a way. So in order to carry on doing a nutrient dense nutrition, carry on making sure you're getting full, you're getting all the decent fats and making sure that your body's working the way it should, you need to make sure you have more of that nutrient dense food. You need to make sure you have more protein, more fats, because you've taken away those carbohydrates. So instead of having your bread or your pasta there on the side, just have an extra bit of whatever it is you got on your plate, an extra bit of fish, an extra bit of steak, whatever it is. So, people who start out have to be careful not to just limit themselves to the same amount of little bit of protein what they was having before. You need to still fill your plate.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing is that at the same time I was losing weight. So the weight that I put on, I mean, I lost 9 pounds in that first week. I mean, all right, admittedly, probably a lot of that was water or whatever, but it's a hell of an incentive when you to keep going, because you're thinking, I was putting weight on again. Now I'm going back the other way. So it's like the body had I always think of it as almost like a little bit of a thermostat, and then it was just resetting itself back down to the level, because I think some people think if you carry on eating like this, you'll just get skinnier and skinnier and disappear, because it's great for losing weight, but your body doesn't really work like that. It kind of settles down to a more natural weight for you.